ain't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Eevee and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's your boy Ernie, the Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Also, if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so that way you don't miss out on any videos that I have to come out. Also, make sure you hit that like button because not only will it ensure that YouTube recommends more of my videos to you, it will also help YouTube recommend this video to other people. So please hook a brother up, hit those buttons. Let's get into the video. Today we're going to be talking about X-Men number 4, written by Jed MacKay, with pencils by Neto Diaz, inks by Sean Parsons, colors by Marte Gracia, and letters by Clayton Cowles. So this issue, we get reintroduced to Trevor Fitzroy. If you're not terribly familiar with who Trevor Fitzroy is as a character, that's okay. He's not really used in a whole heap of a lot of comics. One major thing to know about him is that he hails from the timeline that Bishop comes from. A timeline where he was actually romantically involved with Bishop's sister Shard and is largely responsible for why she is no longer alive. And if you want to know more about that, actually the whole video breaking down Shard and talking about her relationship with Trevor Fitzroy as a result, you can go check it out up here. But all of that said, this guy's been around since 1991, and even though that is the case, he doesn't get used terribly often because he's kind of a weird character. He's a weird mutant, and his powers kind of make him, I won't say difficult to write, but he's not a character you just want to have hanging around because his power allows him to teleport. Now, it's not just teleportation from one location to another location, somewhere else, but also teleportation throughout time. Now, in order to do this, he has to drain the life force of another mutant in order to create these portals, but it also means that if he does not have a mutant to drain these life force energies from, he will have to draw them from his own self, and it can be borderline fatal to him. It won't kill him, but he'll probably be close to wishing he was dead if he doesn't find life force to drain to make up the difference. And what's actually even more interesting about the portals that he makes is that the portals don't work both ways. The portals only work to the destination that he wants to go. If someone else tries to go through a portal, like if someone sees a portal that he opens somewhere else and they try and go through it, let's just say they'll suffer a fate worse than death. It'll be pretty bad. It'd be pretty bad. It's not good. You kind of see where I'm going here with this, is that, yeah, his power, it's not to say that teleportation in and of itself is weird, it's just how he has to get there is kind of weird. So that's why you don't really see him get used a lot, and why his character has always either been, quotey fingers unalived to take him off the table, or, I think the last time we saw him, at least in any like present day setting, was during Matthew Rosenberg's Uncanny X-Men run, just literally right before House of X. And in that run, it was revealed that while he did show up for a brief moment, him and his upstarts were having a little beef with the Nasty Boys. We later learned in that series that Trevor Fitzroy had been captured by the ONE, which is kind of funny considering who Jed MacKay's X-Men are having a little bit of a tete-a-tete with right now from the Ashes era. So there's that. But yeah, this guy, he's got a new game that he's working on right now. Normally, Trevor Fitzroy is just a guy who just does stuff. I mean, yeah, he does. Does he have plans? Yeah, sure. The guy has plans. He has machinations. But in this particular instance, he's trying to do something that is a little bit off the beaten path, even for him. He's kind of stepping into Mojo territory. Now, I don't mean that, he's gaining power from, ratings or whatever, but he has effectively decided to become a full-time content creator, so I'm here for it. Unfortunately, I cannot condone his channel's actions or what it is he's doing, because effectively what he's doing, he's making YouTube videos, live streaming his fights against other mutants, because as I mentioned earlier, his power is that he needs to drain the life force of other mutants in order to create the portals that he makes. Not so much specifically mutants, but mutants are definitely his favorite meal, and because of the nature of his power, he's decided that he's going to lean into the current meta of the X-Men and mutant and human relations right now. Humans hate and fear mutants, and if they hate and fear mutants, more specifically the X-Men, he wants humanity to love him. And he recognizes that, yeah, he's a mutant. He knows that they're not going to like him. But here's the thing, and this is something that the X Factor series has taught us over, under Mark Russell and company. That particular series has done a really good job in just 2 issues alone, and really just in 1 issue, setting all this up, that humans don't really hate mutants, at least not in the way that you might think. They do. They actually do hate and fear them. However, they do like mutants who fight against other mutants, and that is what Trevor Fitzroy is angling to be. He's angling to be every person's dark thoughts, everybody's intrusive thoughts actually manifested and acted upon. He is going out live streaming his unaliving of various and sundry mutants and doing it for the likes and subscribes. Destroy and massacre and genocide mutants as much as humanly possible in order to not only boost himself up in terms of gaining more life force energy to sustain himself, but also in order to get the people, to get humanity to love him. And it's already proven that it's slick working. There are people out there who see what he's doing, no matter how heinous his actions are. It doesn't matter because there's always editing. The case in point in this issue, the X-Men pull up and throw hands with him, and while they don't necessarily just run roughshod over the upstarts, they do eventually fold them up. But as Trevor says, he's just gonna edit around it and make it look like they actually won. Jed McKay has kind of done his homework on this, because if you look at some of the actions and things that are going on here, some of the things that Trevor Fitzroy is saying, they're all things that you would probably hear from crazed nerd cells and right-wing nut jobs on YouTube and Rumble and Kick and wherever the hell else they hang out. Like all this stuff, like even the thumbnail that he makes of himself with his little smirk and grimace, like looking like a badass, so to speak, and then showing Magic with a crying baby face, because it's so easy to do that type of stuff in Photoshop. Yeah, like he's got it all down, even down to how, like, yeah, I'm gonna cut bait and run when, this stuff isn't working out for me, and his audience is gonna be so goldfish brained that they're not going to remember any of his failures. They're only gonna remember the recent successes. That's all they're gonna be thinking about, and that is why this is gonna work out perfectly for him. Now, as for who he is working with, because Trevor Fitzroy, while he is definitely a smart guy, in this case he is not the mastermind here. The real mastermind is a character by the name of Sugarman. I would forgive you if you didn't know who Sugarman was either. Sugarman's kind of a deep cut. A character who hails from the Age of Apocalypse. This is a character who exists in another timeline that when the Age of Apocalypse was folded up, he was transported to Earth 616 and in the past, and he has existed ever since in the Marvel Comics universe and has popped up here and there. He's been in a grand total of 39 some odd comics since his debut in 1995. And for those unfamiliar, Sugarman's mutant power allows him to change his size and shape, his mass. For the most part, the reason why he looks the way he does, and this is, I'm gonna be brutally honest here, I think it's just more of, I guess, a side effect of his mutant X gene. As we talk about sometimes this channel, the idea of Morlocks, characters whose mutant status is readily obvious to anyone with eyes to see. That's basically what he is. He does also have some ability to elongate his tongue in a way that characters like Mortimer Toynbee, aka the Toad, can do, but where his is probably a little bit more deadly is that his tongue can actually pierce solid matter as strong as stone or steel. So he's a pretty tough customer, and he's also incredibly intelligent. He's actually considered a super genius when it comes to genetics and genetic modification. There's actually a very good reason why after the events of M-Day, House of M and all that, there's a reason why Hank McCoy actually tried to recruit Sugarman to help him come up with a cure to help save mutant kind from being fully depowered. So yeah, the guy, he's a problem, and he's back, and one thing that will make some of this interesting is that he does actually have a little bit of history with a lot of the different X-Men characters. And while technically right before the House of X era, during the, I believe it was the X-Men Disassembled event, was early on, like just maybe about a year before House of X in 2019, he was killed off, and suddenly he's back. We don't really know why he's back or how he's back, though I think a safe assumption for a lot of the characters who have died either before or since Krakoa era that have come back now, a safe assumption is that they were probably just resurrected on Krakoa, and there was no fanfare for it because they weren't a part of a major series. We see that a lot. We actually saw it a lot just in the Krakoan era. Characters that have been dead for a long time just mysteriously popped up. But all of that being said, he has history with Magik, who is currently on the X-Men roster. She was actually one of his more prized slaves during the Age of Apocalypse story arc. This version of Magik does not have as much or as clear of a history with Sugar Man as the Age of Apocalypse version does. But still, it's going to be like a really interesting dynamic, especially when we consider what Magik is going through currently. Something that, as if you've seen my most recent video about the upcoming Magik solo series, and if you haven't, check it out up here, we know that's going to be something that's going to come up quite a bit. We know pretty much what Sugar Man is up to. He just wants to get his hands on all the new mutants that are coming up. He wants a cut of the action on who or whatever is turning random humans into mutants, something that has been a thing in this new X-Men from the Ashes era, and it hasn't gone away. We're only in issue number 4, so clearly still something to deal with, and Sugar Man wants to get in on that action. And I would even dare say I'm almost shocked Sugar Man isn't the reason that this is happening, considering his prowess in human mutant genetics. But he's curious. That should say a lot about the situation. Now, getting back to Magik, yes, Magik is pretty much the focus of this issue, and it's pretty obvious what's going on with Magik in this issue. Particularly, we see her, she's playing chess with someone who we don't know who it is. The name is blocked, so clearly it's from a blocked number, which, do with that information what you will. We do find out at the end of the issue that is Colossus, which is kind of a big deal because it basically lets you know Colossus is still out here doing his thing. We don't see his face, we just see his hand at the end of the issue. And for those who have not been keeping up, Magik and Colossus have had a pretty strained relationship as of late. Some of it due to some of the events that took place during Avengers versus X-Men. Some of you may or may not remember that Colossus, around that time frame, was under the thrall of Sidorak. He had become the new Juggernaut. And it was during that time frame we learned that Magik had basically manipulated him into that situation to teach him a lesson about who she truly was. And that caused a rift between them. And that rift was still kind of there during the Krakoan era. And while it did seem like they were working towards patching it up, we also can't forget Colossus was a whole sleeper agent for his brother, Magik's also brother, Mikhail Rasputin, and that also has caused some rifts. So we know that Colossus is out there somewhere. We don't know what he's doing, or other than playing chess with his sister, but we don't know like who he's connected to, because he's not on any of the X teams at all. It seems like maybe he's keeping his space away from like all the other stuff that's going on, effectively trying to do what Wolverine was attempting to do in his own solo series, but maybe being just a little bit better at it. So we'll see. We'll probably eventually end up finding out that Colossus is going to end up joining the team at some point, because something that I have noticed is, and something that was actually stated during some of the early press junkets for X-Men from the Ashes, is that the teams that we have seen up to this point are not the teams at their full capacity. The adjectiveless X-Men under Jed MacKay are probably going to have new members become a part of the team at some point. So maybe there's a door open for Colossus to end up joining. Not that they need another strong guy. They already have Juggernaut, but you never know. Also, Juggernaut, great this issue. I'm not going to go too terribly deep off into it, because, I mean, this isn't news for Juggernaut right now. He has pretty much been a strong ally of the X-Men for quite some time, on and off throughout his history, but more recently, since the Krakoan era. Even when they didn't want him on the island, or rather Charles didn't want him on the island. Eventually he ended up joining and became a member of the Legion of X, working alongside Nightcrawler and being a part of his team that was basically kind of policing the astral plane. And of course, we saw even before the House of X here, he joined the X-Men during Matthew Rosenberg's Uncanny X-Men run. Here he is now doing the same thing. He is back and he is an ally. He is proving it. I love the dialogue here with him. He is just basically standing on business, 10 toes down on business for his mutant allies and friends, being exactly what an ally should be. All in all, this issue is great, and I love the back and forth, the crosstalk between the two different series, because something that, you know, I was kind of alluding at earlier, we have a big Uncanny X-Men, Adjectiveless X-Men crossover that is coming up, and that's why we've been seeing multiple shots across the bow between the different teams, between Cyclops and Rogue, and various different characters like kind of taking jabs at each other when they think either the other one isn't listening, or even sometimes directly to their face, or just speaking it or thinking it directly to them. So we know that this is going to be coming soon. So yeah, this is why they're doing this. It's because tensions are rising, and we're going to get what is effectively a mini Civil War, but for this it's going to be just the X-Men teams. I don't think the Exceptional X-Men or X-Force or any of the other teams are going to be involved. As far as we know, it's really only going to be a crossover. It's going to be a 4-part crossover, 2 issues of Jed MacKay's X-Men, 2 issues of Gail Simone's Uncanny X-Men. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, but I'm hype. I'm ready for it. Let's go. I want to see more of this. There's also an allusion to what is going on with Magneto. We're not told what is going on with him, but apparently something has happened. Beast kind of dances around it, but it's never specifically stated what is wrong with Magneto, but it's something that is feared could spread to the rest of the team or other mutants. Like I said, we're gonna have to wait to get answers on that. Basically everything I had kind of talked about in previous videos for Jed MacKay's X-Men, why Magneto, despite being resurrected towards the end of the Krakoan era and looking a lot younger, looking more like what Magneto used to look like when he was a young man, and in today's X-Men, he looks a lot closer to the age he probably should be, considering that he was a kid during the Holocaust. So yeah, we don't know the full scope of what it is, but once again, it is something that has been heavily on my mind, just because it seemed like such a weird thing, like suddenly Magneto's old out of nowhere and we haven't heard anything about it. No one said anything about it. And in issue number 4, it's being addressed now. Not in a way I think that is particularly going to tell you anything, but at least it lets you know that an answer is on the way. All in all, still fantastic read. I was here for the Beast pettiness. I was here for Magic being petty. I was here for Cyclops having his little moments as well. Juggernaut, the whole shebang, the moments of emotion with Temper when she's interacting with the mutant that Trevor Fitzroy is trying to take out. It's all good stuff, and I will definitely say if you want to see the other side of it, check out my most recent video for Uncanny X-Men number 2 by Gail Simone. So yeah, go check that out and hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, hit the like button, all that good stuff. Just do all the things. Do all the things. I'll see y'all next time. Keep it plus ultra till then. Peace.